Tonight, quality concerns in Port Augusta as an aged care home fails federal standards. And drivers reminded remain vigilant on our roads as students prepare to return to school next week.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. There's concerns tonight about the quality control in Port Augusta's Nerilda nursing home after it failed 8 national aged care standards in a recent inspection. The outcome prompting the introduction of a range of measures to fix the issues. Garth Burley has the details.
In a letter mailed out to the families of residents in the facility, Edenfield identified that in 2 unannounced visits from the aged care watchdog, it didn't meet 8 of the 44 national standards. The facility failing a number of areas, including clinical and skin care, behaviour management and privacy and dignity, among others. Family of a resident in the home say they're not surprised.
We put in complaints to the Aged Care Commission and Aged Care Advocacy about the care of our mother at Edenfield.
Edenfield has apologised and says it has introduced a raft of new measures in a bid to rectify the issues, including employing 20 new staff and introducing a number of new policies to guide practices around resident care.
There was many gaps that were there for many years, and we've been working very hard to address all those gaps.
Edenfield Family Group purchased Port Augusta's Nerilda and Ramsay nursing homes at the end of 2017, which were previously owned by council. A follow-up inspection will be conducted by health authorities at the end of May to ensure the Nerilda nursing home is meeting its standards.
2 men were caught drink driving in Whyalla yesterday during a targeted Anzac Day police operation. A 32-year-old man received an expiation notice after allegedly blowing .077 at an RBT station on Nicholson Avenue. Meanwhile, a 33-year-old Western Australian man allegedly blew .235, nearly 5 times the legal limit. He was reported for drink driving, issued with an instant 12-month licence loss and had his vehicle impounded for 28 days. He'll face court at a later date. With many South Australian students set to return to school on Monday, road users are urged to remain vigilant, especially around school areas. The state government reminding drivers to always stay at or below 25 kilometres per hour in school zones and practice caution when passing school buses or dropping off students. Those with children in the car ensure they're properly restrained and get out only in safe areas. And as always, police are reiterating their warnings to not drink and drive, stay under the speed limit and not use mobile phones while driving. Havilah and Simek Mining are in the final stages of assessing an iron ore deposit north of Broken Hill. Both companies are confident there's enough product to potentially justify a commercial operation. John Hunt has the details.
Since June last year, Havilah Resources and Simek Mining have been working on an iron ore deposit near Broken Hill. A scoping study of the Grants and Maldorkey projects is nearing completion, with some positive results expected. Havilah released a statement 2 days ago updating the stock exchange on its progress. In the Grants Basin, they found iron over a 3.5 square kilometre patch. At Maldorkey, it's a similar story, with a strong sample also found, estimated to be 65% iron. Exploration drilling has greatly expanded as they further investigate what lies beneath. Both Havilah and Simek have joined forces to investigate whether the deposit has the potential to be mined and sold. If successful, the product could be exported to Whyalla via the Transcontinental Rail Corridor and exported via the Whyalla port. Simek's parent company GFG has made no secret of its desire to open the port to other parties. With a decade of experience in iron ore export, this could suit Havilah perfectly. But there's still work to be done, with a scoping report to be completed, followed by a pre-feasibility study. So while it's early days, there's promising signs on the horizon for the 2 sites. And it's good news for the region, with the potential for more jobs in the area if all goes to plan.
Member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, will be 6th on the ballot paper in May's federal election. A random draw for the order of candidates was held in Port Augusta earlier this week. Labor's Karen Bolton drew 2nd spot on the paper behind the Animal Justice Party's Jackie Edgecombe. Second-time candidate Andrea Broadfoot was placed 7th, while Greens candidate Candice Champion drew 8th and final position. 8 candidates will contest the seat, the largest amount since the 1993 poll. Still to come tonight, Wilmington residents worried over plans to beautify the main street, and Port Perry prepares to celebrate 125 years of women's suffrage. Welcome back. Wilmington residents are concerned over plans to beautify the main street after the Mount Remarkable Council finalised designs for the project. Locals fear the new plans will pose a safety threat for vehicles and could affect the town's tourism.
Built for the days of horse and carriage, Wilmington's main street stretches 33 metres from one side to the other, making it accessible for tourists with caravans and trailers.
They can stop, find a park easily for their vans, get out and stretch their legs, have a wander around.
But locals fear new designs to upgrade the street will put that all at risk.
The main issues we've got is the distance from the white lines.
The blueprints for the project map out a 2-metre distance between the edge of the road and proposed garden beds. Some worried it will pose safety threats to vehicles in the area.
They're going to be reversing straight back onto a main highway to get out of car parks.
The Mount Remarkable Council has now finalised designs for the $280,000 project, but residents are calling for the garden beds to be adjusted to 5.5 metres from the edge of the road to make it safer for passing tourists.
Where the caravans and cars have got room to come in and park.
Business owners also nervous their shop fronts could be affected if the changes aren't made.
It's going to upset my business because they're removing one parallel parking.
Putting big long garden beds in won't help the tourist stop.
The council was unavailable for comment. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new exhibition as part of this year's Salt Festival uncovers the secret world which lies underneath the Port Lincoln Jetty. The multimedia event, the work of several weeks, aiming to help people understand more about the fragile ocean environment.
It's the world many of us are unaware of, this secret area being revealed as part of this year's Salt Festival, letting audiences discover the hundreds of species lying underneath the town's jetty.
Along the outside of the shark net, it's just covered in like sponges and sea squirts, and it's heaps of different types of crabs, and there's all fish living all up in between there.
The exhibition, the result of hard work of underwater photographers who captured the marine life over several weeks. Lisa Giorgio has always had the ocean in her life, buying her first underwater camera when she was 10 years old.
Every dive's going to be different, and there's seasons underwater just like there's seasons on land, so it'll always be changing, always dynamic. There's always different migrations coming through.
Stefan Andrews joined in on the event whilst filming for his documentary on the Great Southern Reef, celebrating the unique ecosystem that's right on our doorstep.
These jetties are home to animals that might spend their whole life under these jetties because they've got the structure, they've got the habitat.
The exhibition aiming to help people understand the fragile environment of our ocean and the interconnection our jetty has with all marine life, including Port Lincoln's famed southern bluefin tuna.
The more people we can get under there, the more stories that will come out from it, and definitely the more interest that will be generated.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Perry Council is gearing up for the 125th anniversary of women's suffrage, with female councillors preparing to host events later this year. In December 1894, the women of South Australia were awarded the right to vote and to stand in Parliament. The state was the second place in the world to pass such legislation, and what followed was women's rights revolutionised across the world. The event is set to celebrate the feats of past women and the contribution made today. Staying in Port Pirie, and the city will be hosting a forum to discuss potential reforms to the South Australian Multicultural and Ethnic Affairs Commission Act. It's an opportunity for members of the community to help shape new legislative framework. People can have their say on issues in local and state multiculturalism. People are also encouraged to participate in an online survey on the Government Your Say website, or written submissions can be made to the government's Multicultural Review. The forum will be held on Tuesday, the 30th of April at the Port Pirie Sporting Precinct at 6:30. Stay with us after the break. A look at the results from Anzac Day footy games, and Ruby will join us with the weekend's weather. Welcome back. Now let's see where the fish are biting in Port Augusta.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, some very average weather over the Easter and Anzac break, but some really good catches. King George whiting, really big ones up in the Flinders Channel, basically where the sand goes down into the channel. If you cast out from the shallow into the deep, getting really good catches of King George whiting. Lots of crabs around, mainly out in the main channel there, a little bit deeper, take a little bit of time to get in the nets, but really good size and good meat in them as well. A few snapper off the Seabird and up around the powerhouse, and lots of salmon on the troll along the front of the shacks. Some good catches of squid around the Middle Banks area and also off the shack jetties at night. And that's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Our region's footy leagues commemorated Anzac Day with a number of matches held across the region. In Whyalla, West flexed their premiership muscles with a thumping 27-goal win over South Whyalla. Here's John Hunt.
In our region, so many footballers answered the call to serve their nation during times of conflict, with many never returning. Football across the region paid its respects, with the 4 major leagues hosting matches yesterday. In Whyalla, it was West versus South. They joined to pay tribute before the match before resuming hostilities. Reigning premiers West had South under the pump from the get-go, kicking 3-4-0 in the opening term. South kicked a goal in the second term, but West put 7 on the board to lead by 60 at the main change. The Dragons' pressure was relentless as they forced South into turning the ball over, extending their lead at every change. In the end, they dished out a 163-point thumping to the hapless Demons. Ben Butler kicked 6 for the winners, as they reminded the league why they've won 3 premierships in a row. In Port Lincoln, it was a grand final rematch between Tasman and Wayback. Premiers Tasman started where they finished last year, highlighted by a 5-1 first term, eventually running out 38-point winners. In Spencer Golf Footy, South's undefeated run stretched to 19 matches, with a 5-goal win over local rivals West. And in Broken Hill, West were way too strong for Centrals, defeating the Magpies 147-20. So that's all for now. Plenty of footy to still come over the weekend, and Garth Burley will have all the results on Monday.
And time to take a look at what's happening in the weekend weather. Here's Ruby Kamain.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening. It's been a mild and partly cloudy day with showers over southern parts as well as Port Pirie. Port Augusta, Whyalla and Port Pirie all shared a max of 21. It reached 20 degrees at Broken Hill, Port Lincoln and Adelaide both 19. To the satellite, where we can see low cloud with onshore winds bringing a cold front bringing a few showers, and patchy high cloud near a trough further north. That high will move into position south of the Bight later tonight before heading eastwards through the weekend. On the Gulf waters tomorrow, southerly winds at 10 to 15 knots with seas at 2 metres, and the sun will rise at 10 to 7 with sunset at 5:44 in the evening. We'll see fine and partly cloudy conditions tomorrow with milder temperatures across the board. Port Augusta and Woodner both with tops of 21 degrees. Port Lincoln, Corn, Port Pirie and Kadina all 20. Whyalla, Cleve and Adelaide 19. Coffin Bay, Broken Hill and Clare 17. Looking further ahead now, Port Lincoln with a partly cloudy Sunday, a top of 21 degrees. Monday and Tuesday both with tops of 23. Cleve 21 on Sunday, Monday sunny and 24. Tuesday 25, Woodner with a sunny start to next week, 23 on Sunday, Monday 25, Tuesday 16 degrees. Whyalla sunny and 21 on Sunday, Monday 23, Tuesday warming up slightly with a max of 27. Port Augusta sunny through the weekend and into next week. Sunday 23, Monday 25, Tuesday 27, Kadina partly cloudy and 21 on Sunday, 23 on Monday with clearer skies, Tuesday a top of 25. Port Pirie looking sunny Sunday and Monday, maximums in the early 20s. Tuesday fine and 26, Clare 19 and partly cloudy on Sunday, Monday sunny and 21, Tuesday 22, Broken Hill sunny and 19 on Sunday, Monday 21, Tuesday 23. And Louise, I'll be back later this evening with another weather update. But for now, it's back to you.
Wonderful, thanks for that, Ruby. And that's your local news this Friday evening. We thank you for joining us this week. We'll have updates again later and be back on Monday with a full bulletin. We hope you have a happy and safe weekend and a relaxing one if you're heading back to work next week. Good night.